Hello there, Qckslvrslash, and today we have a game courtesy of Vossi in the Tier 9 British cruiser, the Neptune. And the Neptune, she's a good ship, and in some ways I kind of like her more than the Minotaur, and in others not as much. One of the ways is the Neptune's AA arguably is better. It kind of depends what you're looking for in the AA, but generally the Neptune, I would say, has better AA. I also almost prefer the gun layout. The Minotaur with those twin-barreled turrets up front, you can't fire all your guns straight forward. And that can really suck in these British cruisers because, well, they've got no armor. You show any side, things are going through you. So to be able to fire all 6 guns that are up forward straight, it's handy. Now, the Minotaur obviously has that insane rate of fire that I would say definitely makes up for that. But all told, they do play very similarly, like most of the British line. As you can see, it is Haven Domination, and I really am enjoying this map. I find the battles to be more dynamic, they're always a little closer at the end, and I think it just comes down to 4 caps, lots of islands, so it's easier to break off if you need to when you get yourself in trouble. There's always somewhere close to tuck yourself in behind, open the range, reposition, stealth attack people, and, well, what just happened to Vossi is what happens to a lot of British cruisers. Pop smoke, but sitting more or less still, firing his guns, and someone landed a big shell into him. Fortunately, recovers pretty much all of it back. Well, half of it, which isn't even close to all of it. But recovers a huge chunk back, and that gives these British cruisers the staying power that armor would otherwise give you. And I don't like what's happening right now. Vossi's entire team is pretty much sitting at their starting cap. It's like they can't make up their mind as to where they want to go, and so no one's doing anything. And I've seen that happen too, but for the most part, teams seem to come up with a decision and act on it, especially with the island chains kind of bordering the entirety of the outside. It is easy enough to advance on this map. I got that Donskoy popping in and out, Vossi doing his best to land a shot. That one is looking pretty good. Come on, big damage, and not really, 1,000 damage. And that can be the crappy thing. But what isn't crappy is what these cruisers do to destroyers. With those short fuse AP rounds, the ability to just, detonate going through superstructure or the thin armor of a destroyer, it's really impressive. Unfortunately, that Tashkent and Charles Martel make an absolute wreck out of that enemy Kagero. And Vossi's kind of still just sitting here, no one's spotting him, no reason to go. Can see the friendly destroyer is dead, so Vossi zooms in, gets his torps out, and gets into cover right as the friendly smoke dissipates there, and he would have been spotted. Now personally, I would be turning in at this Otago. I find the Japanese cruisers pretty much always just a lot easier to deal with if you close them. They're fast and they're maneuverable, so I like to get in close, knife fight them, and try to catch them off guard. Now obviously they do have those torpedoes, but as long as you're aware of that, you can avoid them. But Vossi is right on that 10k border, and these British guns are plenty good to do some damage. First volley, 3 penetrations, no citadels unfortunately, and now the Otago's turning away. And this is why I might have kind of charged in, catch them off guard. The smoke was coming back, but Vossi's doing what these British cruisers do really well, and that's just shell the ever-living crap out of whatever is in range. He is getting damage, he's getting connections, but he kind of missed paying attention, and Dirk Diggler there lands a massive shell right through his side, but once again, recovering about half the damage, should bring Vossi up to just under half health. You can see those Otago torpedoes both ahead of him and continuing to come inside, so He's kind of got to play it cool here. Just wait the peds out until he has an open spot to go, and it is a good thing he started moving because he almost got absolutely nuked. And still, things haven't really gone too crazily. We're 5 minutes in, and both sides have only lost a pair of ships. The enemy team does have a cap advantage, and that's something that is going to hurt Vossi's team if they don't get into Charlie or Bravo soon. And it doesn't look likely. Look where the rest of his team is. They're all well up to the north, spread out, and I don't think that's good either, because this Missouri, well, he could probably get focused down by a lot of the enemy fire and has no supporting fire. And the rest of Aussie's teams all too far back to do much. And you can see the Missouri there being like, shoot this guy, like, help me guys, come on. But Vossi doesn't have time to think about that. Got a torpedo bomber and dive bomber squad are coming in, and you're going to see the Neptune's AA. Now, I don't know Vossi's build, but on mine, just because these ships seem to do everything else so well, I did go with a full AA build. And you almost need to. Without that defensive AA, having the longer AA range, you know, the slightly boosted damage, focusing on that part of the captain skill tree and the module tree really helps your ship out in those games that you've got an enemy carrier. And I find the rest of the skills with these ships are good enough. The only one I might go for at tier 4 is probably concealment. Otherwise, AA. You can see Vossi's team still hasn't managed to get Charlie. The Tashkent was heading that way and then kind of went out for the Torp run. But fortunately, they've gotten a kill, so they're keeping the point margin close enough. And Tashkent looks to have landed a couple torpedoes there and done some decent damage, but he gets singled out and killed. You can see the friendly carrier was trying to keep him safe from planes, but I suspect his guns were firing, and that's what got him killed. And Vossi's taken things into his own hands. He's getting into the cap and gonna do what is necessary, and that is make sure you don't fall too far behind. It doesn't seem like much, but you know, every couple seconds they're falling 4 points further behind. And if half of each team were already dead and this were a fight about the kills, wouldn't be as concerning. And the one thing I would have been all over there the second I was air spotted is shooting at Bismarck, but Vossi got the guns going. Unfortunately, didn't get to secure a kill, but maybe it went to the rightful owner. There is, however, an Alabama who's going to be a nice juicy target. Well, Vossi captures this cap. He's got to be careful. He's drifting forward. Okay, the speed is coming off. You can move around a bit in these smokes, but they are quite small, and the last thing Vossi needs to do right now is get detected. He's keeping the guns going, looking around. The friendly battleship right behind him is taking the fire. So Vossi is going to get this cap and basically stop the attrition. You know, the enemy team's no longer pecking away 4 points at a time. Now it's an actual gunfight, and we've got more planes coming in, and Vossi's AA is just continuing to shoot them. Not having defensive AA in a way is nice, because you don't have to think about turning it on. You just go about your business, and planes just kind of disappear from the skies. Almost got his 10th kill. It is worth noting that the carriers are tier 7 carriers. So I think it's safe to say Vossi hasn't gone full AA spec with this thing, just because a tier 7 carrier should be absolutely melting to the full AA of a Neptune. And with the smoke about to dissipate, he's got to make a decision. He's got a Donskoy there and a Ranger. He chooses to shoot the Ranger. Not a bad idea. Maybe get rid of the carrier, take away their spotting bonus. But that Donskoy cannot be ignored, and well, he gets a Citadel, but And the Donskoy is ignoring him, but his smoke is gone. I don't really know why he's backing up here. I would be going forward personally. I find a lot of people get stuck into that mindset, oh, I gotta back up. The British ships and that amazing acceleration that they have, often the quickest way out of a situation in these things is forwards. And then you just time a turn and get turned out, or you just push. He does appear to have some supporting fire on that Donskoy from the Bismarck, and it should be enough. And I don't like the shots of the Ranger. Deal with the guy who's hurting you. A tier 7 carrier isn't gonna do too much. A Dmitry Donskoy, that can absolutely ruin your day. But on the flip side, at least he is making short work of the carrier, so it won't take too much longer. If he can land a couple more big hits. And I'd say that counts as one. So that's going to be the Ranger right there. Get your guns back on the Donskoy. He's the thing that could potentially end you. And the last thing you need to do here is smoke. Donskoy, he's got radar. So the advantage, I really would say, is continuing to push. You've got great single fire torpedoes. You can catch people off guard. And, well, the carrier managed to get a drop off. And because Vossi slowed up, he's gonna eat one of those torps. And interestingly, the radar never popped on. I wouldn't have expected that. It's possible the Donskoy already used its radar, but sooner or later I suspect it would have come on, and here come some more planes. But this time he's moving, so shouldn't have a problem staying out from under them. And things are getting close, but look at the damage he can do. I really think that Dimitri's making a bit of a misplay here by staying side on like that. It looks like he's doing it to just get all guns firing, but that just gives up your Citadel and the damage, and Vossi just gets away. 76 hit points. And, well, things are still... I'm not going to say they're close. It's now, what, 6 versus 2? But one of those 2 is a pretty much full health Missouri, and a couple of those 6s are some pretty beat up ships. That Colorado is going to be the first to go, and Vossi, come on, get into the cap, buddy. Stop paying attention, turn hard left, get those points as soon as you can. There we go. And, well, I think that Colorado is still somehow alive. Or maybe he did sink and I just missed it. Yeah, I just missed it because it's now 5-on-2. But the spread of these teams is going to hurt them. Now, obviously, Vossi can't do too much. You know, he gets spotted. It's not going to take a lot to kill him. 4,600 hit points is not a ton. Fortunately, the Missouri is lit from other people, and with a little adjustment, he's going to be able to start just lobbing shells over this hill at the Missouri. And now it's 3 versus 2. And this is one of those things that I find some people just miss. You know, it's not about your numbers. Sometimes it's about the hit points you have in those numbers. And things are going to dissolve into a bit of a cap battle here. The Missouri obviously getting into Alpha, and that's okay. By the time the Missouri gets A, they should have the cap lead again. And if I were the friendly carrier, I would just be keeping that Fletcher lit all day. You can see his fighters over near the Missouri, and maybe he is looking for the Fletcher, but I suspect the Fletcher's probably doubling back, hoping to get some stealth hits in, maybe on the Bismarck or on Vossi. The Missouri more than capable of dealing with a few Tier 7 aircraft. And a good shot there slows the cap, and that means they're going to be on top. One more tick here and they'll have the lead. And that's not a bad thing to have with 4 minutes left. And yep, the friendly carrier is finally working his way down, trying to find that Fletcher, and lighting the destroyer is going to come in hugely handy. Because once you know where he is, you know where his torpedoes are. That allows Vossi and the Bismarck to dodge them and just stay safe. And see Vossi taking another shot there, hopefully resetting the Missouri, but the shells aren't going to get there in time. I think they were also a little underlaid. But he's not detected, so no harm done. And one of the interesting things about situations like this that I feel people sometimes forget, and it's a tactic I use, particularly when hunting destroyers. Right now the Missouri is not going to be able to see him. If Vossi fires and suddenly gets detected, you can sort of start drawing sight lines out from your ship at the new range of where that destroyer might be. Because obviously he's not detected now. So if he were to fire and get detected, that means, you know, there's only a few narrow alleys where the destroyer could actually have been to be detecting him. Now he is working his way into Bravo here to once again take a cap, to try to expand that point lead. And it is a close one. You also want that guarantee that if you die, you maybe have enough points to absorb it, and well, that's not good. The Fletcher snuck around the map and has gotten in to try and take Charlie. Torps go into the water, but they're probably not going to hit. You can see from the lead indicator, the Fletcher is more than content to sit in a smoke he just popped and get the cap. Fortunately, reinforcement at this cap is going to arrive in the form of the Bismarck, and it should let them get the capture just a few seconds quicker than that Fletcher manages to get Charlie. Once again, maintaining that narrow lead that they've got. It's only a couple points. You can see he held fire there until he was behind the island, hard cover, blocking detection from that Missouri. Now, obviously the Missouri can reason out where the shells are coming from, but if he can't see them, his aim is worse, because unless you're locked onto a target, you take an aim penalty, and that might mean he can get away with shooting. If he were to be detected, that'd be game over. And there's that lead. Still, 18 points. And the enemy team is going to have to start getting aggressive. They need a kill or to pause a cap. And that is one risk that Vossi's team runs right now. If that Fletcher or Missouri get into this cap for just a short period of time, they stop the points it's generating. And it's not going to take too long of, 4-point ticks for the enemy team to once again be on top. There's only 50 seconds left, and the Missouri turns away. Big mistake by both those players. They're obviously trying to kill the Bismarck, but the Bismarck is a tanky ship. Maybe a pair of Tier 9s, but they're not taking down a Bismarck in that short period. They should have, at least the Missouri, should have charged in. In my mind, that's the right call. Get in close, at least delay the cap. Try to give yourself the chance to win. By turning it into a gunfight, unless they get a lucky detonation or something, nothing's happening. Meanwhile, Vossi has just played smart. He's stayed behind the island and kept himself alive.
And all told, not a bad game. Were some mistakes made? Yes, on both sides, but that's the case in a lot of Warships game. I make mistakes. in stream, people have laughed at me as I do stupid things. Everyone does stupid things from time to time. I really think the only one that was questionable there on Vossi's part was going for the carrier over the Donskoy, because the Donskoy was actively attacking him. Otherwise, great result. 388,000 credits, 5,400 experience. Got the Dreadnought, 103,000 damage, 2 kills, 7 sits, and really went for the caps. He was the only one on his team to actively go for caps, and it paid off. 2,400 experience, really a solid experience result. And that just goes to show that huge damage numbers aren't the only thing that matter in winning a game. Getting caps matters. His friendly destroyer at the start did go into Charlie, but the second he died, no one else on the team seemed willing to push other than Vossi. And all told, he did take out the Donskoy, got that Ranger, and did, good chunks of damage to a couple other ships supporting his teammates. And that's what these British cruisers are. They're support cruisers. They're really good at tacking on a lot of damage and helping your teammates work things down quickly. And when you do that, you make some decent money. Tier 9 game with a premium account, 183,000 credits taken home, and I didn't see any flags being run, so that's just pure profit. And 5,500 experience almost, which another chunk closer towards the Minotaur, assuming Vossi doesn't already have it. Anyways, thank you very much for sending this one in. I enjoyed watching it, and I think it proves an important point. You've got to get the caps if you want to win. It's not always all about killing. Anyways, if you enjoyed it, please consider giving it a thumbs up or subscribing to the channel. And as always, I am Qckslvrslash, and I'll have another one for you guys later.